आपदां दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। अर्थात सर्वसुख प्रदान करने वाले और समस्त आपदाओं से दूर रखने वाले जगत प्रिय सबसे सुंदर उन भगवान श्री रामचंद्र को मैं बारंबार नमस्कार करता हूँ।
One is all of you know, all of us knows the migrant labor issues, the pathetic condition in which they are placed. Second is massive job losses. Third is payment of wages. And fourth is suspension of labor laws in 3 states. And fifth one, of course, it's related to economic policy, that is privatization. Because I am mentioning that also mainly because in some sectors they're already planning for strikes and other issues because many public sector is going to be closed. So these are the now they are called as guest workers in the whole country. Their condition is very pathetic. Many migrant workers are dying on the railway tracks. They are dying on the roadside. They are dying in overcrowded trucks. And many migrants are thousands and thousands of people are walking along the road, hundreds and thousands of miles, along with their wives, small children. These are all the pathetic situation coming up. And some media has said India is walking home. That is the title they have given. So that is the situation. Why they are going back to their home states? This is to be thought of. Mainly because of they have been widely misbehaved by the contractors, their employers. As per the Interstate Migrant Workers Act, the moment they are recruited till they reach their home back, it is the liability of the contractor. If he fails, it is the principal employer who is liable. But the act is violated throughout the country and nobody is there. Contractor deserted, employers deserted. So they are at the mercy of trade unions, then social organizations, service organizations, and government agencies. Even for food, they have to depend on these people. So, moreover, they are also worried about their family, their children, in their villages. So, they naturally have a tendency to go back to their places. So, the industry then wants these people to return back. So, the only thing that can be achieved, VMS has suggested to the employers as well as the government that the migrant workers should be incentivized to come back. There should be some incentives. For example, giving them train ticket free, then transport facilities, then some cash incentives, then wage advance has to be given. Then definitely they will come back because in the villages they will not find jobs. Now it's as a psychological and emotional issue they are going back. And mostly they will be for some time returning back for the harvesting because they are all coming from this agricultural sector and allied sector. So they after the harvesting, the rainy season will come and definitely they will come back. But the problem is the home states cannot afford to give employment to these people. For example, in some states, nearly 10 lakh people are coming up, returning back. How can the home state give employment to these people? So definitely after some time, they will go back to the place, and to catalyze that movement coming back, some cash incentives has to be done. Next thing what VMS has raised before the government is we should have a national register of migrant workers, because nobody has any idea about how much migrant workers are in the country, how much they have left one state to another state. No such calculation is there. So, am I hearing? Are you hearing me? Hello, hearing me?
Yes, you please continue. Please continue.
Okay. So this reverse migration can be prevented by these things. So these are all some solutions which we have said. Further, we have also asked that the ESI scheme, one of the largest health insurance scheme in the whole world, not only largest, one of the most successful, even though we complain about some day-to-day activities. it is one of the most successful in the sense that it is even with a small premium paid, they are getting high benefits, nearly six benefits they are getting, and it is also a profitable right now. With small premium, it is running in profit. Nearly 80,000 crores is now remaining. So what we have said is these 80,000 rupees that should be used for expanding the coverage of ESI to the unorganized sector. The unorganized sector people are not able to pay high premium. So it should be given for assisting for more people to enter into ESI. So ultimately, the biggest challenge before the entire labor sector is how to extend ESI to the last worker in the country. Already this issue has been discussed in various levels at the government level. When the Social Security Code, there are 4 codes coming up regarding when the discussions on Social Security Code, this ESI extending to the last worker in the country was discussed in various times, and the government is also working very much for that. And some good solutions has been included in the Social Security Code, even though we have reservation about many other clauses. Another thing is we have to think about now skill development, how to relate it to academic, vocational training, etc. Another big issue that has come up in the labor sector is about 2 lakh international migrant people are coming to India. They are registered. And according to government sources, 25% of these people have said that we are coming back losing our jobs. So how these people can be engaged in the employment, this is going to be a big issue. Now they cannot be employed in MG Narega's type of work because they are highly earning while they were working in foreign countries. So what the government can think is, one speciality with these international migrant people is that they are all skilled people. They are all highly skilled people. They have got many of them have got global standard level skills. So that can be used for the building of a new India. How that can be utilized? So there should be some method by which there is a scientific skill mapping of all these people returning. Similarly, sector-wise and cluster-wise planning also is needed to revive the small-scale industry. These good suggestions we have placed before the government. Now, the main issue has come up in the labor sector is 93% of the total working population is now in the unorganized sector. So they are getting jobs, they are getting working, they are earning income, everything on the internal system. In self-sufficient village system, they are now surviving with a meager small amount. That also we have to think how to improve that situation. Now, when we come to the issue of the new suspension of labor laws. Now, this is for the first time in the whole history. Wholesale suspension, or we call it as wholesale burial of labor laws, has taken place in 3 states. This is something unheard. Even it is rarely heard even in most undemocratic countries in the world. And all of us know that rule of law is fundamental to a civilized society. If rule of law is withdrawn, what will happen? The society will go to chaos. Suppose you have got a issue, some problem. Where are you going to settle? This is going to, all the rights were withdrawn. Even in these 3 states, a trade union has now become illegal because the Trade Union Act has been withdrawn. There is no ESI, EPF, no welfare schemes. And a very, very unfortunate thing is, in Madhya Pradesh, only 80 rupees per year is being deposited into the welfare scheme. Only 80 rupees per worker. That law also has been withdrawn. I don't know what has prompted. There is no gratuity, no bonus, no working hours, no social security, no working condition, nothing. Everything has gone. And nearly 15 states have raised the working hours from 8 to 12. In some states it is 11, some Karnataka it is 10. Anyway, they have said that we will be giving overtime. It's good for the workers. But the question comes, when there is a large army of people waiting for employment, should the already those who are inside, they should be asked to work more time, or more, that working has to be distributed to more hands? This is a fundamental question that comes regarding increase of working hours. From the for the worker who is already inside the settled workplaces, they will be getting overtime, double the wages for the extra work. That's a different question. But what about the those who are seeking jobs? So these are all there. Then the question many people asked, what is our view on these three withdrawal of labor laws? Now withdrawal of labor laws, there is a vacuum, there is a total. It is like medieval times when there was no labor laws, nothing in the place. The entire labor sector is without any rule of law. So the only position we can take, we are actually pushed to the wall in those three states. So we can only take that the ordinance has to be withdrawn. And if at all the government wants to talk something about the labor laws or reforms, let us sit together and come to a amicable solution regarding all these things. Now the major reason stated by the governments is investments are coming up. Okay, we welcome. We also want the investment to come up. We want also the economy to progress. We want also the industry to progress. Everything we require. That is we are all nationalists. But you have to go to look at the China. China, there is a website which is meant for prospective investors. In that, they have listed what are the things that is awaiting the investors. There, they have enumerated all the labor laws, all the labor provisions they have mentioned, and these are the labor laws. They did not go for wholesale withdrawal of all the labor laws for the sake of bringing investors. So only why people are thinking, who have advised the governments like this? It's very strange things, and it violates fundamental principles, directive principles of state policy. And also ILO has 47 conventions has been passed by Indian Parliament, 47 conventions of ILO, and when it is passed by the Indian Parliament, you know, it gets the status of a statute. It is fundamental. It's a basic. It becomes a basic legal position. That also has been violated. That also has been grossly violated. So these things will not stand, and so we have demanded it should be totally withdrawn. Only after withdrawal we can talk about labor forms and other things. Now, when we look at the central government position on labor, the central government altogether has done wonderful things for the labor. They have categorically made it clear. In our trade union meeting with the labor ministry, there is a frequent meeting with the trade unions, labor minister, labor officials, everything. That is wonderfully working with the labor ministry for the last several years. Mr. Shankar Agarwal will be knowing during his period also, we have sat with him on many vital issues. So that process is going on. And the labor minister also made it clear, we will not go for any ordinance route. We will only consult with the trade unions, and then only we will proceed. But the three states, they have violated all those norms. So now on a whole, now the period of survival, then revival, and going to excellence, we all people, all the social organizations, including trade unions, employers organizations, organizations like NACH, APAL, and government, has to sit together and think about all these things. And many organizations has taken interest in managing or involving in this type of discussion. If we jointly think together with a position that we have to move from Vivad to Samvad, everything should be, there is no issue in the world which cannot be amicably settled. With that firm belief, if we move forward, everything can be settled. So we can take India to excellence. With these words, I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I request Mr. Govind Goyalji to say a few words.
Saji ji, dhanyavad. Thank you so much, sir. Only thing I would request the other participants is that they may concentrate only on flagging the issues relating to employment and the problems which have arisen during the COVID-19 period. We may not be talking, we may be knowing so many things, but we should confine ourselves only to COVID-19 related problems which have just arisen during this two months lockdown period. And secondly, we may just concentrate on how those issues can be possibly settled across this round table, sitting among ourselves. Let us not invoke the issues which may be in the domain of other external agencies such as the government or the court. We have to avoid going to the court, and we need not confine or we need not harp on legal framework. Primarily, our job is to try and sort out the things sitting here on this round table.
Now I request Shri Vijesh Upadhyay ji, who is National General Secretary of the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. I request him to say a few words regarding this topic. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. I think Saji Narayan ji has almost covered all the point concerning to us. For not to consume more time to listen others, I think my concern, BMS concern is over. Please call someone else to have their ideas.
First, Shri Umi Daniel ji, who is a social activist working on issues related to poverty, distress, migration, and a director at Aid and Action International. Now I request him to say a few words.
Namaskar.
Shri Umi Daniel ji.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you,
yeah.
sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and esteemed panelists. It's a great opportunity for me to be here among all of you, and I'll actually say a few words about migrant worker. Already, Mr. Saji Narayan ji has already said very beautifully. He has actually put into perspective the issues related to migrant worker. Yes, I think I will actually say that there were issues before COVID. Migrants workers were invisible. Migrants workers were into precarious kind of work, aggravated forms of kind of condition they were living in. They were doing dangerous, demeaning, and very different kind of work which actually migrants were doing. It's not only they were engaged in factories, but they were also working in brick lanes. There are informal, the stone crusher units, there are construction sites which are not regulated. I think these are the areas where actually they were working with family, there were children, there were women, there are infants that you see today. They're all moving. When they're moving with the children and women. I think that is the situation of migrant worker in India. And 2017, the economic survey has put together some data. It was saying that 9 million people are actually moving from one state to another state. This is the economic survey. And Census 2011 talks about around 140 million migrant workers, but it's not been actually captured well. So one of the issues that Mr. Goyal is saying, that how it's a policy issue and it's an opportunity. I think people are suffering. So can some kind of amicable solution can be done to actually identify these people? This is the first thing that I would say. How we are going to document them, how we are going to register them. And Interstate Migrant Workers Act, let me put it very candidly here. It's not been implemented except Odisha state. Odisha is actually implementing Interstate Migrant Workers Act. In all 30 districts, the migrant workers are registered. And although they are registered very less number of people, but it is in action. Because Odisha has actually formulated the Dadan Control and Regulation Act of 1975. Because Odisha knew how their workers are being taken by laborers to other place. So it was actually Odisha is doing that. And I think another issue that in Orissa it happened, Orissa has also signed a MOU between two states to actually help migrant worker. This MOU was signed between erstwhile Andhra Pradesh and Orissa to regulate worker and help them. So there are some good examples are also there. So what is actually the issues are of migrant worker today? When I look back, I think they're not regulated. Even destination states are also not recording or registering the migrant worker who are coming in large number. I think every state, I think starting from Kerala or other places, the large number of migrant workers are coming in, but there is no registration. In Tamil Nadu, many of the migrant workers are registered by the police. I think it's so strange that in Tirupur and other places, they had to go to the police station to register themselves. So this was also some kind of criminalization effort is going on the migrant worker. And there should be some dignified process of registering. There are also portability, I would say. Now Government of India came up with a one nation, one ration card, which would actually help migrant workers to access PDS and other thing. But that is also largely one issue which need to be seen how that is, and within 2 months, government is going to implement it. Next issue is very important because government has said around 8 crores of migrant workers are being registered at different places. They are being given food. I think the focus is on food security, on providing food, how people would actually access food, but how I think Mr. Saji Narayanji already has said, and when I look at the source area like Odisha, which is also supplying large number of interstate migrant workers, and also Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Orissa, and Uttar Pradesh, we will be getting back around 1 million migrant workers. And now I think how the state is going to provide quarantine, provide food security, provide employment, it's a huge challenge. So then the industry, the Government of India should actually think how best the worker, as Mr. Saji Narayan has said, can go back and amicably, how the companies could actually accept them. Immediately, I should say the 4 R's, what can be done. I think the people need to be rescued. People are still walking on the road. I think that's how we are going to resolve. They need to be rescued. They need to be provided immediate relief. They need to be provided, I think now, how they would actually recover from the kind of trauma that they are in now. They are being traumatized. They are also being stigmatized in their own states. People are largely stigmatized, and that how they will recover. The road to recovery for this migrant worker is important. How best they could also have health security. I think how this is going to do that, whether the industry can help going to the source area now. I think that I know people have left your destination. Can you contact your counterparts? Can you contact the interstate mechanism can be developed? How Kerala can work with Orissa? How Delhi can work with UP? And industry and government together, this interstate mechanism can be done and identify the skilled people that you are going to recruit them today, tomorrow, and invest on them, their health, their food security, their income security. That government yet to actually declare some kind of income security. And already Mr. Saji Narayan has said the labor reforms thing. But can the BOCW, the Building and Other Construction Welfare Board, how it is going to work? I think that's a huge issue. I also think that we have been demanding setting up a national task force for actually transferring these people in an orderly manner, how they will go, which state they will go. I think you need huge transport services now. People are no longer going to stay in the cities because there is a trust deficit. We could see here when there are lakhs of people are returning, they're saying, I think they've been cheated or they've been not being fairly actually. That's what Mr. Saji Narayan has said. I fully agree. And can we have a national board for migrant worker? This is a time all migrant workers are also in the informal sector who are actually working in a very precarious conditions. Can they be identified? And also that can we have a national kind of a board? And because we know that the BOCW hardly helping the migrant worker. They're working in a state when they go, particularly the seasonal migrant worker. They're not getting benefit. They're contributing hugely in Mumbai, and this is not transferable. They're whatever like the schemes you are doing, it's only meant for the state where they are living. So the domicile based kind of entitlement which are there, or pensions, I think we need to look at that. Whether this welfare board could also be a portable kind of welfare board could help migrant worker wherever they go back to their villages and get all the benefits. So I think, and then one thing that I will say, migrant women workers are a huge issue. Still, I think they are suffering. Their wages are also less. And the many construction sites we see, they are working also in a very hazardous condition. Adolescent boys and girls are also working. So we need to see that how we could stop this and create a conducive environment for the worker. Or you can say the specially kind of law which could also provide equal rights for the women worker to work in construction site, work in other places. And finally, I would say, let us look at their living condition, the place they are living, the benefit they should be getting, and all these things. If you can do, I think we can create a win-win situation for migrant worker, because they are contributing hugely to the Indian economy, and also their job should be secured, and the workers' rights is also equally important. Thank you very much. I'll stop it here. Thank you.
Now, SP Tiwari, I welcome SP Tiwari ji on board, and he can share his views related to the issues regarding COVID-19 problem. SP Tiwari ji.
Thank you very much for giving up me an opportunity to discuss on this very relevant point of employment related issues, which is going to be on focus point during this COVID-19, which has created a very havoc on the workers of the country. Now, where our brother Saji Narayan, who has elaborately discussed a lot of issues which are coming for the workers in recent times, wherever he has finished, I would like to just add something new from where he has finished. Now, जब हम ये बात करेंगे कि विवाद की जगह संवाद, तो जब हम विवाद को खत्म करके संवाद की तरफ आगे बढ़ेंगे, what are the things in the current scenario we have to consider upon? Number one is, if the real sense, whatever the states are planning, and they have already issued the ordinances to suspend the labor laws, if they continue that, it is not going to help the industrial scenario, because the state's relationship between employer and employer never put you in very good situation where you can have more focus on the area, you can give more action. So, considering this, what I would feel that it is very much necessary to consider this point. Number two, even in the good scenario, employees discussing all their issues, then the production is also not affected. But in the strain relationship, the production productivity is also affected. Number three, now in this present global crisis, when economy of a lot of developed countries is going to be crashed because of this epidemic, and this pandemic has taken a huge check on all these issues. So, whether we in India can consider that the IPP-driven GDP can revive the economy. Can we think about that? Number four is कि हम समाधान करें, संवाद करके समाधान करें. हमने हमारा एक फोरम है कंसेंट के नाम से, उसमें हमने इस बात पर विस्तारित चर्चा की है कि संवाद के माध्यम से समाधान निकालें. नो संघर्ष, संवाद समाधान. क्यों? क्योंकि अभी जो सिचुएशन है, ये दिस नॉट कंट्राडिक्शन, नॉट फॉर कन्फ्रंटेशन. दिस इज
सॉरी टू डिस्टर्ब तिवारी जी, प्लीज सिर्फ रेलेवेंट एक मिनट का समय और है, इसमें अपने बात को संपन्न करें, क्योंकि काफी
एक तो वर्कर के इशू के बारे में साजी नारायण जी ने बहुत अच्छी कहा और डेनियल ने भी कहा. तो मेरा ये कहना है कि कैसे ये रिवर्स माइग्रेशन को हम उलट करके सर्कुलर माइग्रेशन की तरफ ला सकते हैं, उसके लिए हमको सबको मिलकर के रास्ता निकालना है. और जो आखिरी पॉइंट है वो ये है कि निर्माण क्षेत्र में BOCW को एक पोर्टेबिलिटी ऑफ मेंबरशिप अगर रखें, जिसका प्रस्ताव हम सारे ट्रेड यूनियंस ने ऑलरेडी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को दिया है, और हमारा श्रम मंत्रालय very effectively they are working on those points. If they can do what we do believe, we can take this challenge head front and we can rebuild India as a modern India. And in the initiative of the government, we can stay together and there should not be any confrontation, but we should collaborate together for rebuilding of our country. Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to call Shri Pradeep Bhargav ji, who is President Maratha Chamber of Commerce, Industries and Agriculture, Pune, MCIA. Is a importer chamber of commerce going all the way back to 1934. Please, Shri Pradeep Bhargav ji, now you can say a few words.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much for being given the opportunity. Even though I am coming under the bracket of employer or management, I am coming here the concerned and a worried citizen. The issues today, there are plenty of forums for us to resolve between employers and employees. There are bipartite, tripartite, ILO, दुनिया भर के प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं जहां पे हम अपनी समस्याओं का समाधान करते हैं और बनते रहेंगे. आज ये जो समय है, ये उस विवाद के बारे में संवाद नहीं करना है. आज I want to talk about a sector, a set of constituency जो बिल्कुल लावारिस है. Management, employers, employee unions are taking care of their constituency very well. They ask for charter of demands. We talk about productivity. ये सब चीजें अपने मायने रखती हैं. आज की तारीख में जैसा गोयल साहब ने कहा, समय इस समय उन शोषित और पीड़ित लोगों के बारे में करने का है. So I'll focus myself exactly only on the issues which relate to COVID impact on employment. Yes, there is an employment in organized sector. Yes, there is an impact on employment of MSMEs. Yes, there is an employment on every single white collar worker also. वो एक सच्चाई है उसका, लेकिन इन सब वर्ग में उसको सहने की एक शक्ति है, एक डेप्थ है, एक एबिलिटी है, एक अगर नौकरी का होता है. पर ये जो शोषित वर्ग है, जो एक माइग्रेंट वर्कर है, वो डे टू डे वो हैंड टू माउथ है, वो बिल्कुल. Can you hear me? Yeah, that is a category which doesn't have the capacity to even last, forget about 3 months or 90 days, they don't have capacity to last for next week. This is a sector, why are we talking about? Why am I talking about? Because these are also the sectors which contribute to industry. And when I use the word industry, I mean industry, commerce, services, agriculture, construction, ये सब एक उद्योग का है. ये लोग वहाँ काम करते हैं. काफी हद की जो समस्याएं, मैं इसमें मुझे कोई शर्म नहीं है कहने की, कुछ चीजें हमारी गलतियां हैं, उद्योग वर्ग की गलतियां हैं, ट्रेड यूनियंस की गलती हैं, जिसके कारण ये जो समाज का एक अंग है उसका शोषण हुआ है, उसका वो हुआ है. That is what I'm saying, because look at it. What is the number, sir, with for your consideration? 100 million, 10 crore migrant labor है हिंदुस्तान में. And you know what is the extent to which they're impacting? They're all over. In Surat, 70% of the workforce is migrant labor. In Pune, 40% of the workforce is migrant labor. These are people who don't have ration card. These are people who don't have voters card. They are out of the public safety system. They are people talked about BC and WU. They are not included here. The municipal corporations don't acknowledge them. They don't get coverage. उनके बच्चे आंगनवाड़ी में नहीं पढ़ सकते हैं. उनको हेल्थ केयर नहीं है. उनको दुनिया भर की समस्याएं हैं और उनका वोटर कार्ड नहीं है. तो हमारे जो नेता लोग हैं उनके लिए भी कोई मायने नहीं रखते हैं, क्योंकि इनको वोट नहीं मिलने वाला है. The point I'm bringing out is this is the category which we all should, through samvad, do it. And I want to straight away come to the points mentioned. I'm totally in agreement with what Saji ji said and what Daniel said, कि ये जो वर्क है इसके बारे में हमको करना है. I'll straight away come to what industry can do. Yes, I come from a city called Pune. वहाँ हमारे इतनी ज्यादा तकलीफ हो गई है माइग्रेंट वर्कर जाने के कारण, हमारी फैक्ट्री खुल नहीं पा रही है. परमिशन मिल गई है पर वर्कर नहीं है. तो क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि हमारा उनके संग आचार ठीक नहीं रहा. So yes, we must incentivize them. People in Pune factories are ringing up these people in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh. क्या पाइए? We must incentivize them. I'm totally agreement with this. Next step, we must formalize their employment. वो रोज डेली वेजेस के बेसिस पे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वर्कर के तरीके से जो करते आ रहे हैं, हमको सीख लेना चाहिए इससे कि यार इनको रोज रोज करके आप करेंगे तो एक दिन जब ऐसा आएगा तो चले भी जाएंगे. Every single permanent worker who has been in industry has not gone away. उसको पता है कि मुझे तनख्वाह भी मिलेगी, मुझे भविष्य है. ये लोग डेली वेजेस के ऊपर हैं, कोई ब्रिकलेयर है, कोई कुछ है. So we must formalize first, incentivize, second formalize, third skill development. असाजी जी ने पॉइंट किया. Yes, we must encourage, we must do skill mapping. in महाराष्ट्र हम कर रहे हैं कि जो स्किल चाहिए और जो वर्कमैन है उनको स्किल करने के लिए totally with them. I think this is one aspect we must completely get connected, use interstate platform और उसको करने के लिए ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी हुई. ट्रेड यूनियन की क्या जिम्मेदारी हुई? हाँ, हम सब इसमें साथ हैं. आप लोग भी इस अंग को, इस वर्क को अपनाइए. ये नहीं है कि जो हमारे ट्रेड यूनियन के मेंबर हैं उन्हीं का वर्कर का इंटरेस्ट, उन्हीं के चार्टर ऑफ डिमांड हम लेके जाएंगे. आज की तारीख में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वर्कर को भी नहीं देख पाते. इस तरह से हमारी उनसे हाथ जोड़ के रिक्वेस्ट है, मैनेजमेंट शुड लुक एट देम पैशनेटली, कंपैशनेटली, सो शुड ट्रेड यूनियन. द लास्ट पॉइंट, सरकार का क्या होता है? गोयल साहब ने कहा सरकार को राय ना दें. हम इतना कहना चाह रहे हैं, टाइम हैज कम फॉर गवर्नमेंट टू गिव दीज पीपल द आइडेंटिटी, बिकॉज बिना आइडेंटिटी कार्ड दें, उनको मोबिलिटी दें, उनको एक्सेस टू बेनिफिट्स दें, उनको डिग्निटी दें. ये करना बहुत जरूरी है. बहुत समस्या आएगी, ये एक झटका लगा है. In that sense, the positive thing, I rest my case by saying we totally agree we need to do something to this. It's a very thing. Let's forget about other demands, there are other platforms. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Pradeep ji, Goyal ji. Now I request Mr. Sanjay Bhatia ji, who is the president of FICCI Confederation of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises and is also managing director of Hindustan Tin Workers Limited. Please, sir, you can say words regarding that.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. First of all, let me say what Pradeep Bhargav ji has given a very balanced view about how the situation has to be handled. There's absolutely no doubt that the plight of migrant labor and their journey back home on foot is a humanitarian tragedy that cannot be described in words. I think issue today is not just humanitarian or social, but has an economic dimension also. I think this is how we have to really look at. Today, we really have to see life versus livelihood is the issue, or the employment versus enterprise. I think that's the other thing which we have to really look at, that how do we really survive all this crisis? What is the responsibility of the state? How, I mean, what they have to really do? Because today, employers are obviously fighting or working for resetting the businesses which have been totally lost. As Saji Narayan ji has said, revival and survival. So that is what I think is the issue today from us. There is new normal of the business which we are looking at, whether it is working from home or artificial intelligence or technology or all. I think all these things, the employer is struggling. The liquidity is another issue, very big issue which is there. So the package as announced by the government, gives a option for us to take additional credit. But I think there is no liquidity support which is there. The survey, there's a study which has been done that this crisis, I mean, there may be a loss of about 30 to 40% of the enterprises which would lose. I think that's a big issue. We also are struggling with the lack of workforce. We do not have workforce. We do not have the orders today. How do I really start my business? Migrant labor, certainly it's an issue, humanitarian issue. As I said, we really need to see that what both of us together, trade union, employers, government, all three of us rather, really can handle it. The Interstate Migration Act has already been mentioned that this virtually is a total virtually exposed. There's a lot of loopholes in that. So we really need to see how that needs to be revamped so that it is helping the migrant labor to really to have the benefit of that. It's not only the migrant labor, it's their families also. It's developing the skills, education, providing jobs to them, retraining them, bringing them back. I mean, we really have to see how we can do that. This can be, one has to really look at creating a building up and reassuring environment has to be created to frame an institutional mechanism for capturing online personal details, the generating unique ID numbers, capturing PSI numbers along with the employers' details, etc. I think that is something which will really give them confidence. And in case there are any grievances there should be a redressal mechanism of that. So I think all of us have to really see maybe the employment exchanges which are there, which maybe, I mean, there's hardly any work to be done by the employment exchanges. They can be used, that infrastructure can be used for all this. The point has been made regarding reference to ILOs and labor laws. I think what Govindji said, in this forum, we have to really look at Vivad se Samvad. I mean, we are not referring to the laws, etc. Why working hours have to increase? There is a reason. There are two reasons. One is the lack of workforce now. That is one of the reasons. Moment we have the people, I mean, this is all temporary. And also to maintain social distancing norms in the factories, because the MSMEs, especially, or the SMEs, even that, for that matter, they are not able to maintain because of the plant layouts or the machinery layouts in the respective plants. So they need to maintain social distancing, which becomes easier for, in case, keeping in mind there is a less number of workmen available today, so that we are able to maintain that. So everything has to be seen overall, that how do we really help the employers to reset their businesses and go back to the pre-lockdown period and come out of this economic crisis. I think this is what I would say. I think this issue of migrant labor, I would finally say that it should have been at the center of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was announced. The economic aspect of labor migration has not received the attention there. It should have received, particularly in the revival package. In a country which is so dependent on migration to sustain production and consumption, migrant labor issues should have been at the center. The larger point, finally, is to treat migrant workers with dignity and make them feel that the system cares for them. Thank you so much.
Shri Rajiv Ji, who is recently retired as a group president from India, he has also represented India as an employers delegate at the International Labour Organization. Now I request Mr. Shri Rajiv Dubey Ji to say a few words.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I fully support the focus that Mr. Pradeep Bhargav has suggested on the migrant labor issue. I think the biggest obstacle which we will face in returning to normalcy after the lockdown will be the shortage of labor, and that will be largely migrant labor right through the supply chain. It is not only a humanitarian issue, it's a very hardcore economic issue, and both have to be looked at. Essentially, we have to handle the issue of fear and the trust deficit, plus a lot of logistics and economic issues. And this requires all the various stakeholders to come together and have a dialogue, whether it is state government, local government, central government, employers, workers. So a lot of dialogue, various stakeholders coming together. So this is all that I have to say. Fully support the focus that Pradeep Bhargav has suggested on migrant labor. Thank you. And it's not only a humanitarian issue. It is a humanitarian, but it's a hardcore economic issue, which will be the biggest obstacle to return to normalcy after the lockdown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajiv Dubey Ji. Now I request Shri R.K. Joshi Ji, who is the Secretary, National Employers Federation, allied body of the PhD Chambers of Commerce. Shri R.K. Joshi Ji, please say a few words.
मेरा कहना है कि हमें अब इस वायरस के साथ we have to live it longer, and the need is to revamp our economy and industry and boost to manufacturing side which have lost its track, and we have to bring it back. If we go by the figure, even in textile industry, I heard we have lost around 1 crore of jobs, and apparel industry 7 lakh of jobs we have lost there. And hotel and tourism industry, which is the other segment of our industry, very big segment, there is no job at all, and they are very, very difficult to revive that unless there is support of the government. We can't revive under the existing rigidity of labor laws, which needs some relaxation for these, because industry can't
come back to its track unless something is done by the government and also agreed to by the union. The list is so long, but in industry, I think would meet the crisis, provided their views are taken positively and supported by the government and the trade union. This approach must be understood by knowing the real ground realities where the industry stands today. So as far as suspension of labor laws are concerned, sir, accepting payment of wages, I think it's the right track if we go for employment. The purpose is to increase employment, and the present industry, we have to cut the employment, either to cut the employment or the industry will not revive. So my thing, this ground reality, everyone must understand, whether it's the government or the trade union, and Abbar Sambad should be on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, R.K. Joshi ji.
I've been hearing and listening to all the conversations and presentations. Govind, I also heard the recording you had sent me a pre-batter. Now, the large number of issues have been raised as management versus employees issues. I don't think I'm here to discuss management versus employees issues. To say the least, in Punjab, we never had any issue, any labor unrest, or any such issues. The issues which are now being faced are as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. It started about as a problem of last 10 weeks. And we need to identify, focus on the issues which COVID has caused. The COVID has created a crisis. Who are the migrant workers particularly? It's not really the migrant workers only, but the local labor is also facing some issue of joblessness, lack of money, hunger, poverty. There's a lot of issues with the local labor is also facing. But coming to the migrant workers issue, which the COVID has generated, and I take it as a positive outcome, because migrant workers issues have never occupied any prime space in any policy discussion, any discussion in the government forums. Everybody knows in Punjab, both on the agriculture and on the industrial side, we have about 2.5 million migrant workers. Now, agriculture operations we have completed successfully. Wheat harvesting we have completed successfully. A large number of migrant workers worked in the mandis and purchase centers. From 1,800 purchase centers, we increased the centers to 4,500. We have today procured 1,26,000 metric tons of wheat, and with the payment of about 30,000 crores to the farmers and workers and everybody else who's involved in the procurement process. So there is a fair amount of satisfaction, fair amount of economic activities in the rural areas, and workers have got some dues, something there. But in the industrial side, out of 2,54,000 units, small, big and medium units in Punjab, we were operating at 1.7% about 10 days back. Today in Punjab, we are operating at 60%. 1.3 million workers registered to go back home. I don't think the workers themselves registered. And the point I think Saji ji made, these workers are operating through the contractors. They come through the contractors, they go back through the contractors registered them. Out of 2.5 million workers in the state, 1.3 million registered to go back. 375,000 workers have gone back in about 300 trains and 300 buses we've sent to various states. And mind you, we are sending the workers at a cost. UP has not paid, Bihar has not paid, Orissa has not paid. We have spent about 35 crores in sending workers to these states. All the food, shelter, train travel costs Punjab is bearing. Even the workers, Punjabi workers, the Punjabi people who are coming, Punjabi population which is coming back to us, even for them also we are paying. We paid people who came from Maharashtra, we paid people who come from Rajasthan. We have a kind of a dual responsibility, but we do not hesitate. Our policy is very well that we will not allow any workers to walk on the road. They will be first given food, shelter, and taken their options. And if they want to go back home, we will not stop them. It is unusual to say that we will not allow them. I think Karnataka said that we didn't want to do that. So that's the thing. We, in the welfare side, for the relief side, we have taken care of them. Every about 20-25 trains are going every day. Today, I was told by my colleagues, the 300 train at 5 o'clock, I think in half an hour from now, 300 train ho jayengi hamari. and tonight we are supposed to send another 10 trains from Ludhiana and Jalandhar and Amritsar. That being so, there are larger policy and statutory issues. A lot of things have been said about the labor reforms. Labor reforms, yes. If you want to spur economic activities, you want to bring back the enterprise and industry back to the normalcy. Ludhiana has about 95,000 to 100,000 units. They don't have adequate labor. Only domestic and tiny units have started working. The major units are facing crisis. But that doesn't mean that we take away the basic rights, fundamental rights and civil liberties of the workers. Why should a worker be asked to work 12 hours? And today the industry is demanding that they should be asked to work 12 hours at the normal wages, and they will not be paid overtime, which is double the wages. I think, yes, reforms are yes. We can request the workers, we can plead with them, as Sajiji said and everybody else said. We can negotiate with them for extra hours. They may be asked to work for 12 hours, but not at the normal work. Why should they not be paid extra? So far, they have always been paid overtime for extra work. The normal working is about 8 hours. We work for 8 hours. They should work for 8 hours. If industry needs labor, industry needs double shift, triple shift, they jolly well be allowed. We have allowed the girls to work for night shifts. We have allowed many other reforms, but not compromising on the fundamental and basic rights of these. At the same time, I think industry needs to provide for a lot of other support. I wouldn't call it incentive. Industry doesn't have proper labor residences. They don't get proper shelter homes. They don't get proper working women's hostel. There are a lot of other things I've seen. And yesterday I had an interaction with the industry, the Ludhiana industrialists. They are pleading with the government that we should provide for sanitation in the labor colonies and labor areas in Ludhiana. Why should industry not be doing it? Why should they not look after their workers so well that workers willingly work for it? I can tell you the workers are otherwise happy with Punjab. Last Friday, our Chief Minister takes the questions of the workers and common men directly. And we had a number of calls from Gorakhpur, from Jhansi, from Datia, Balia area. The workers were calling up the CM, Sir, हम आ तो गए हैं, हम यहाँ पर पहुँच गए हैं, आपका धन्यवाद, हमें आप वापस बुला लीजिए. Basic reason why the workers wanted to go back was, one, they did not get the money here. They didn't have the spending money. They were not able to send the money back to their families from wherever they had come in the native places. And their families at their native places were not getting enough food to eat. While in Punjab, we gave extra food. We gave free food. All our mandir, gurdwaras, all our NGOs, civil societies were so dedicated. With a population of 3 crores, till today, we have distributed over 12 crores cooked meal packets. And all these packets have gone to the migrant mobile population. Because otherwise in Punjab, everybody knows about Punjab, nobody goes hungry here. There is enough to eat. But there is a dearth of work. Also, the major problem is not the migrant worker, is the workers in the unorganized sectors. Not many would know that in a state of 30 million, there are 9.2 million workers in the unorganized sectors. And these 92 lakh workers have lost their job, have lost their livelihood. And that's the challenge for the state. The state is looking for ways and means to provide some incentive to the industry to create, bring them back to the work and try and see if a substantial number of them maintaining all COVID precautions, maintaining social distancing, they are brought back to the work. Now, this is a tall order. Government of India has to do something. I agree with the comment made in the stimulus package. The migrant worker or the worker issue, the labor issue should have been in the prime space. It has not been given that kind of a space. We've been making a couple of suggestions. Our Chief Minister has been writing regularly to the Government of India, to the Prime Minister, but we've not heard. Interstate Migrant Workers Act is largely ineffective. I call it inoperative. I don't think it's ever been implemented. I've been in Punjab for 37 years and my trainer, Mr. Alok Sinha, is on the panel. He knows me jolly well. If Mr. Sinha is listening to me, sir, I am 83 batch of Punjab cadre. So you were our trainer, you were deputy director in the academy when we were trained in 83, 84, 85. And the most ugly thing to remember those days is the academy was burnt when we had the last day of our phase 1. So, I mean, 37 years, I have not seen any legislation, any regulation, any systemic effort being made for the welfare of migrant workers. I will suggest, and I have suggested to my chief minister, with whom I work now, that Interstate Migrant Act, it's a national law. It needs to be revamped, and the law should provide a national board for the welfare of migrant workers, enabling the states to set up separate boards for the migrant workers. Mind you, we have labor construction workers board, we have factory workers board. These are all statutory boards we have. They are set up under a central law. But when we try and enroll the migrant workers, local versus migrant issue, a political issue comes up. So when you have a central law on the migrant workers and movement and their welfare and their well-being, why not enable the state under central law to set up a separate board? You can even mobilize funds for their long-term welfare, provide for their health safety, provide for their social security, provide for their food security, and kind of quality living, if nothing else. I'll stop at that, Govindji. If there are any questions, I can answer.
Thank you, Suresh Kumarji. Now, yes.
There is, in my view, there's a certain lack of clarity. When we talk about migrant labor, we almost seem to suggest that all of them are in unorganized sector. And if you are talking about their rights, then at the same time, our concern and worry that several states have attempted to suspend laws, labor laws, or increase hours of work, or wages not getting paid, or jobs that may be cut. I do not see how you reconcile them. For I would see that many of these migrant labor problems as existing independently of the other issues which we all talked about, like implementation of labor laws, increasing the number of hours of work, wages to be paid. And we are essentially concerned about the organized sector where you apply all these yardsticks. To my mind, I've heard at least from Sanjay Bhatia, where you would say working hours have to be increased. Where is the question? And Joshi ji said jobs must be cut. How else is possible? Now, when we are talking about some solutions, I think we must come to this basic view. We'll be undermining the enormous good work that had come over 50, 60, 70 years of labor movements which have brought important welfare legislations. There must be a commitment on behalf of all the chambers of commerce that the industry will not dilute any labor laws. That should be the starting point. It should be non-negotiable. That there are states which may bring about legislation saying now we'll have 1,000 days of moratorium. I'm not even too sure about the constitutionality of such issues, such as it happened in UP, that the moment the High Court issued notice, I think they backtracked on it. Because we understand through Constitution that under Article 254, if there is already a central legislation in place, if there are Industrial Dispute Act, Factories Act, and the legislation which require number of hours of work, a payment of wages, there may not be a scope for any state to bring a legislation or an ordinance to do away with them without the concurrence of the president. I understand that there are provisions there which contemplate exemptions where through notifications of the government you can make the application of certain provisions to be exempted. That could be possible, but then through a legislation which is directly against central laws which are in the concurrent list could be completely wrong, could be a wrong advice. So I would urge at this time when we are looking for some consensus that the industry, the chambers of commerce through their constituents must make the first commitment and assure to the workers that there is nothing to worry about. Because if the labor is going on a huge unrest and there is a scope for such a thing, on policy issues of what we may not be able to control, whether there should be privatization or not. Right now in this discussion, it may not be possible, though Shaji said that also as an important thing, and he put it at the lower in the agenda. But to me, in our discussions, we must make that commitment. We should extract that commitment from the industry and try to focus on the issue relating to dilution of labor laws. That I think is very essential, and that is my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Kannan. Thank you so much. I would now request Justice Kurian Joseph to come forward and express his views, please. I hope Justice Joseph's issue, connectivity issue is resolved.
Yeah, it's resolved. It's resolved.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Off and on, I've been hearing you. I've been seeing you, but yes. Yeah, my esteemed brothers, Justice Kohli, Justice Kannan, and I'm not able to see many others, and all the other sisters and brothers. A very good afternoon to all of you. It is nice to be part of this Nyaya Chowpal. It's a wonderful initiative, and the one who connected to me is actually Senior Advocate Govind Goyal. It's a good initiative. I participated last week in the inaugural session. Well, see, this is a post-COVID area probably, since this Nyaya Chowpal is an idea that is conceived. Instead of tackling the issues on the legal perspective, this is what Justice Kannan just indicated short time back. Not on the legal perspective, because it's not the question only of the employee, it's also the question of employer. So both are there. So we must be in a position to understand the situation from both perspectives of the employer and employee. So rights are always not to be pursued without understanding the reality from the other side. Therefore, this becomes a very important issue, because in mediation, we may not always see what is actually the legal right or a legal solution. We always see what is a solution in a human way, a human solution. I will say a human solution, which is acceptable to both of them, but which is legal also. We do not break law for us in a settlement and mediation, but we go beyond law and take the spirit of law. This is my concept of mediation. We take the spirit of law and make a legitimate commitment as far as the settlement is concerned. So according to me, the ensuing situation, particularly in the labor sector or management labor scenario, is more for settlement of industrial disputes in a sphere of or in a platform of understanding each other better, the problems of the employer and of the employee, problem of the capital and problem of the outputs also. So according to this is a wonderful initiative from the organizers for tackling the issues on the labor side, on the service sector, on the consumer sector, on many other sectors. Nyaya Chowpal would be able to do wonderful things, because we may not be able to tackle everything in the legal side, everything through law. At home also, we don't tackle everything from the legal angle. A lot of other angles also. An emotional angle is there, an angle of a family is there, a social angle is there, community angle is there. So all this would be better if you go for mediation. This is my short intervention on this aspect. Because I believe in the policy, because law is for man. So we have to interpret law in a way to make men happy. Not only one happy, but make both of them happy.
Thank you, Justice Kannan. Justice Kurian Joseph, sir. We are really grateful for your intervention and your words of wisdom. And you have very pointedly explained it is give and take. In Nyaya Chopal, when we try and resolve the issues, it is give and take. We do not assert our rights. Our approach has to be what can we do for the other side. Now I will request Justice Pramod Kohli.
Justice Korean Joseph, my brother Justice Kannan, and all other panelists and the participants. My good evening to all of you. You see, we are discussing the class issues. And what I believe, and everybody rather believes, that there should be class conciliation rather than a class conflict. If both the sides stick to their own agendas, there is going to be chaotic conditions in the country. This.
वो भाई party office आ गए हो पाने?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear
Hello.
you. Please continue. We can hear you.
Okay. This COVID-19 pandemic has provided us an opportunity to rededicate ourselves to the cause of the country. And for that, both the sides have to make sacrifices and contribute for the development of the country and for the welfare of the people. I remember when I was in Jharkhand, I visited Jamshedpur, which is a town where the Tatas provide all the civic facilities. From 1928, there has not been even a single labor strike in that factory, rather in the entire town, because the Tatas take care of their employees and employees take care of their. We have so many things. We have experts here. They have given their views. But this pandemic has created some kind of credibility crisis. The labor has started, you see, feeling that they are being not taken care of their problems. Therefore, some kind of reconciliation has both sides. The employer must ensure the return of the migrant workers to run their factories, to run their trading activities. They must provide social security to the migrant workers, which includes food security, health security, shelter, and minimum income to sustain. And at the same time, the workers should be ready to increase the working hours with some kind of proportionate additional wages. That can be the only solution where both sides can be satisfied, and the country can also make a step forward in the development direction. Some of the participants had suggested that we have ESI funds, which is about 80,000 crores, and similarly, even under the Employees Provident Fund, unaccounted money, unclaimed money in crores of rupees is pending. This amount can be utilized to overcome the immediate needs of both the sides, so that there may not be burden on the government and other developmental activities may not be sacrificed. My suggestion is that there has to be a reconciliation from both sides. The unions or the representatives of both sides should sit together and work out on short-term basis and long-term basis to achieve the required objective for the welfare of the country as a whole. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you, Justice.
Thank you, Govindji. Thank you, Govindji.
जी, can you hear me now?
हाँ, नमस्कार जी।
जी,
माइक
नमस्कार जी।
से काम नहीं कर रहा है।
नहीं, अब तो you can hear me ना?
हाँ, yes.
Yeah.
Now it's fine.
Now we can hear you.
Right. Thank you. पहले सबको सादर नमस्कार. I am very grateful to have been invited to this very august collection of people, from learned justices to very senior officers. Thank you very much. It gives me great pleasure to share the platform with Suresh Kumar from Punjab. We had good memories in Mussoorie. I don't want to take too much of time, but I would just like to say about the suspension of the labor laws. Now, I don't know what caused it, what prompted the 3 state governments to suspend it. As the learned judge said, it might even be unconstitutional. But leaving the laws aside, we have to keep in mind that for the good of the economy, for the good of the industry, the employer and the employee have to coexist. If the employer has to revive the economy and take it forward, who does it take it forward for, except for the employees also? The employees constitute more than a majority of the population. So I would entirely agree with Mr. Saji Narayanan that the labor laws which have been suspended should be taken back because it introduces an unnecessary element of conflict. From this conflict, no one benefits. I think at the moment in the country, both the employers and the employees and the employer, they need to and they want to coexist. We have to take the country forward by reviving the economy in a joint manner. And if the number of working hours are increased arbitrarily at the same level of wages, it might lead to an unnecessary conflict which will not be to the benefit of anyone at all. Having said that, I would like to place my views here. Thank you very much.
Before I request for wrapping up our discussion today, I will request Shri Baldev Bhai from Laghu Udyog Bharati to express his views or to ask any question if he has about the present topic. Baldev Bhai. Baldev Bhai from Ankleshwar.
हाँ जी, नमस्ते गोयल साहब।
हाँ, नमस्ते।
हमारे ओर से लेबर कमेटी का जो चेयरमैन है लघु उद्योग भारती में, नेशनल वाइस मिस्टर रमाकांत भारद्वाज है, वो जरा बात करेंगे।
हाँ, ठीक है। Can I come in? ठीक है, मैं रमाकांत जी को निवेदन करता हूँ कि रमाकांत जी आवें और अपनी बात रखें। लघु उद्योग भारती के वो राष्ट्रीय उपाध्यक्ष हैं, नेशनल वाइस प्रेसिडेंट।
नमस्ते जी, सजी नारायण जी, नमस्कार। हाँ, ऐसा है कि
नमस्कार।
ये चौपाल का पहली बार मैं ज्वाइन किया है, मेरे को बड़ा हर्ष है इसको ज्वाइन करके, क्योंकि ये हमारी कल्चर को सूट करता है। और जैसे कोर्ट्स में लोक अदालत हुई है और इवन थाने में जो काउंसलिंग सेल्स बने हैं, और ये जो है पंचायत की तरह जैसे हमारे कल्चर पे है, लोक अदालत से अगर हम सॉल्व करेंगे गिव एंड टेक स्पिरिट में। आई एम वेरी थैंक्स टू कोरियन जोसेफ एंड जस्टिस कोहली, both of them said that we should leave aside the legal aspect. This is a forum by which we should not worry too much about legal aspects. We must live in a spirit of परिवार। हमारी संस्कृति एक इंडस्ट्री को परिवार की तरह मानती है, और परिवार में जब तकलीफ आती है तो सभी लोग उसको बराबर में सहन कर करके उसको फेस करते हैं, चाहे वो वर्कर हो चाहे वर्कर हो। एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉई का जो रिलेशनशिप है, इट इज ए umbilical cord रिलेशनशिप। दोनों एक दूसरे के बिना जिंदा नहीं रह सकते, दोनों का को एग्जिस्टेंस है। तो अगर ऐसा है तो उनकी सस्टेनेबिलिटी भी देखनी पड़ेगी। हम G20 में जाते हैं, ILO में जाते हैं, तो हमेशा सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात करते हैं। अभी एक सज्जन ने कहा कि जॉली वेल, अगर एम्प्लॉयर है तो एम्प्लॉयर हैज टू पे डबल द वेजेस फॉर ओवर टाइम। हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि आज एम्प्लॉयर की जब बात करते हैं तो वो एम्प्लॉयर लार्ज सेक्टर है कि एक माइक्रो एंड स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री है, बिकॉज दोनों का जो वर्ल्ड है, जो वर्किंग एक्सपीरियंस रात दिन का डिफरेंस है। जो लार्ज सेक्टर है उसकी जो परिकल्पना लोगों के दिमाग में है और जो एग्जीक्यूटिव उनके दिमाग में है, और जो माइक्रो एंड स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री है वो इसके बिल्कुल विपरीत है। एक माइक्रो एंड स्मॉल इंडस्ट्री इज एज गुड एज ए सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड वर्कर, वो उसके साथ में मिलकर के काम करता है। वो देखना पड़ेगा जो सबसे ज्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट जो होता है इस माइक्रो और स्मॉल में होता है, वो उसको डबल वेजेस दे जो बात कर रहे हैं। मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही इस बात की कि हम दोनों सब मिलकर करें। एक एग्जांपल लेकर के मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करूंगा, क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ा विषय है। लेकिन अभी एक विषय है, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री ने अपील करी कि पहले बार जो मार्च की सैलरी है वो हर एम्प्लॉय उसको दें, चाहे वो उन्होंने ज्वाइन की नहीं की। हर एम्प्लॉयर ने बड़ी खुशी से वेजेस सारी पे करी, चाहे वो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर में हो या ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में हो। लेकिन जैसे ही वो खत्म हुआ तो अप्रैल के लिए MHA का एक ऑर्डर आ गया कि यू हैव टू पे सैलरीज फॉर द अप्रैल आल्सो दो इट इज इन लॉकडाउन। हुआ उसका क्या कि जो इंडस्ट्री थी लाइक फार्मा, जिनको कि लॉकडाउन में भी काम करने के लिए कहा गया था, उसमें वर्कर आए नहीं। क्यों नहीं आए? कि हम तो घर बैठे तनख्वाह मिलेगी, व्हाई शुड वी वर्क? अगर हमें डबल दोगे तो हम काम करेंगे वरना नहीं काम करेंगे। इस तरह का जो ऑर्डर आया, इस तरह के जो रूल आए, उसकी वजह से एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय में एक डिस्ट्रस्ट बढ़ गया। तो ऐसे जो रूल बनते हैं वो एक बजाय को एक दूसरे में सद्भावना और एक को एग्जिस्टेंस की भावना के बजाय एक दूसरे को विपरीत करते हैं। दुर्भाग्य से हमारे जितने भी लेबर लॉज हैं वो आज इस प्रिंसिपल पे हैं कि देयर आर टू क्लास ऑफ सोसाइटी, वन इज एक्सप्लॉइटर, वन इज एक्सप्लॉइटेड। सारे ILO के रूल जो हैं इससे बने हैं। ये हमारी संस्कृति को सूट नहीं करता। हमारी संस्कृति परिवार की है, उनको हमें ILO को हमको गाइड करना चाहिए। आज ILO पे हमें निवेदन करना चाहिए और उसके लिए बेस्ट फोरम है ये चौपाल। ऐसे चौपाल से बैठ करके हम करेंगे, गिव एंड टेक का रिलेशन करेंगे तो बहुत। अंत में मैं कहूंगा कि अभी जैसे EPFO का है, गवर्नमेंट ने 3 महीने के लिए EPO का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो वर्कर को देने की बात कही है। थाउजेंड्स ऑफ करोड़ गवर्नमेंट हैज एग्रीड टू गिव। ये पैसा जाएगा 7% ऑफ एम्प्लॉय जो ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर में उनके जो है रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट के लिए जाएगा। अगर यही पैसा इन माइग्रेंट वर्कर के खाते में जाता और इसमें अगर उनको कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता हमारे ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर को भी, एम्प्लॉयर को भी, तो इन माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स की साला हालत बहुत अच्छी होती। हम माइग्रेंट वर्कर क्यों है इस पे हमें सोचना चाहिए। हर लोग मानवता की बात करते हैं, लेकिन डिस्पैशनेट वे पे हम अगर सोचेंगे कभी, मेरे को समय देंगे, हम करेंगे माइग्रेंट वर्कर की प्रॉब्लम, माइग्रेट शुड बी माइग्रेंट वर्कर। इस बात को हमें सोचना चाहिए। धन्यवाद।
गोविंद है तो अरुण मेहरा जी को निवेदन करूंगा कि वो आज की डिस्कशन को रैप अप करें और उसके बाद फिर धन्यवाद करके हम मंत्र से आज की बैठक को समाप्त करेंगे। अरुण मेहरा जी।
हाँ जी, my mic unmuted? Can you hear me? Thank you.
Yes.
Govind ji, thank you so much for setting up this calm discussion between people who care together for the condition of the people of the country, the workers of this country. आपने कहा है कि this must be discussion between the workers and their representatives and the employers. It is not to do with external, the law, the government. It's between the stakeholders in the enterprises, and that's a very good spirit. Justice Pramod Kohli ने कहा कि टाटास में, टिस्को में, since 1950s, actually, there was no strike. And you know why? It is not because the Tatas provided houses and hospitals to their workers. I know this because for 25 years I worked with Mr. G.R.D. Tata and then Sumant Mugaonkar, and my job was primarily on the human side of the enterprises. And this was the philosophy of Mr. Tata and then the senior people of Tatas, that the workers must have a right to participate in the governance of their departments, of the whole factory and the company. And so Tata Steel works councils in every department, and the works councils had equal representatives of the workers and the managers, and they met every month and resolved issues together in those departments. And the whole works also had an apex council with equal members. And in spite of having such a good consultative mechanism inside the company, Mr. Tata insisted that we must have a strong union that respects us and that we respect. So it's had always a very strong union that the management has worked with. So this is the spirit, and I have been pleading with both sides, but especially on the management side, our people to please enable the workers to have a collective voice, because the workers alone are very small. And unless they are allowed to speak and speak together, you don't hear them. You don't hear them. So this has to be the thrust. And unless this happens, disputes will rise, and they will have to then be resolved by bigger unions taking up matters at a higher level, as well as by the law. So we have to get to the foundations. And in this matter, therefore, I'm most concerned that in the new ordinances, they may have rules regarding the working hours and these other matters, but the most fundamental right, the full fundamental necessity for a good economy and a good society is being destroyed if you interfere with the rights of, or prevent the rights of workers to be represented by their own associations and by their unions. So that's number one. Number two, in this discussion here, we have been saying, and you said very rightly, please not talk about things which the government is required to do. Well, in the COVID time, both the managements as well as the workers require government because they both need relief. So if we wish to talk about the fundamental matters that have gone wrong, which have caused this horrendous bad effect on both sides, enterprises that are not able to function and workers much more distressed for migrating, we got to come to the matter of workers. It's not a question of just migration. Why were these workers forced to migration? And as was said by the Principal Secretary from Punjab, Suresh Kumar ji, okay, look, it's actually even the local workers are having problems and have had problems. And because locally workers have problems, they then migrate. So we have to come to the central issue is the condition of India's workers. And in that, it is both, yes, the 5-6% that are in the large organized enterprises, as well as, and mostly we must think about those who are not in those large enterprises. So therefore we come to this matter of unorganized workers, and unorganized means more than one thing. It is not just that they are not registered somewhere, but they're not able to organize themselves to be able to be heard. So therefore the representation of unorganized workers is the need. And I have been urging my brothers in the trade union movement that that is who you must represent. To represent any longer the people who are in the organized sector, you're doing a disservice to the workers of this country. I heard yesterday in a very good discussion between employers and unions, or day before yesterday, Saji Narayan ji was part there, where the chairman and managing director of Coal India, one of India's largest public sector enterprises with the largest number of workers, said, look, on one hand, I'm going to say something that I'm proud about, and also at the same time, it makes me ashamed. He said, the workers of Coal India have gathered for every month now, 60 crore rupees. These are workers. This is not the company funds, nor the manager's funds. The workers, he said, are generous. Point, he said, is they're earning well enough to be able to do charity to other workers. And this has been the problem, that we've got a system of economics in this country in which managements, not management, but owners earn a lot. They set up trusts, they set up philanthropies, and then they will, in a time of distress, do charity, and we will honor them for that. And similarly, on the same side, the workers in organized enterprises and public sector enterprises are able to do the same. So they are part of the same paradigm. And we've got to concentrate, I would say definitely, on how to help the unorganized workers and all workers. The matter of social security, universal social security, is the key issue. We must apply ourselves very hard to have a very robust, universal social security mechanism. And that universal social security mechanism has to go well beyond the EPF and other things which are available in a good way to the large enterprises. We've got to talk about means by which unorganized workers can get social security in many circumstances. And if they had the social security in these circumstances, then there would be no problem in their migration because they would have what they need. And I think we should not be concentrating on the word migration. It is really the condition of workers. And if the workers are looked after very well wherever they go, there's no problem in their migration. In fact, workers move from some place to another place because they could earn more. They expected more there. So this is my one request, that please do not let's concentrate only on the COVID-19 relief, which is what government must do. Let's not just focus only on migrant workers. Please let's concentrate on all workers, and let's set up mechanisms or encourage mechanisms in every enterprise level. Each enterprise will have its unique circumstances. They will have to make the give and take so that both stakeholders can make the enterprise healthy, and the enterprise cannot be healthy if the workers in the enterprise are not well taken care of and healthy, and are able to say what they need to remain healthy, well looked after, and to improve their own skills. So this is my plea, please.
Thank you so much, Arunji. Thank you very much. And I would now request Satyaveer ji to thank everyone for joining today's meeting and making it successful. Satyaveer.
Thank you, sir. This has been very informative session for all of us. I would like to thank and show my gratitude towards all the panelists for sparing time to be present and participate in today's meeting. We hope that in future also we will have fortune to hear and learn from all of you on topics of importance such like today. I thank you again, all the panelists, and thanks.
Thank you very much.
आज की मीटिंग का आज की औपचारिक रूप से संपन्न किया जाए और संजय शर्मा जी मंत्र द्वारा, कल्याण मंत्र द्वारा इस बैठक का समापन करें। आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप सबने बहुत समय निकाला।
ओम सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ओम शांति शांति शांति, सर्वारिष्ठा सुशांति भवतु। ओम।